Paros is a picturesque Cycladic island located within the Aegean Sea. It lies 100 miles from the Greek mainland. Near the island of Paros is the small, desolate island of Despotiko. Despotiko is home to a remarkable, relatively unknown treasure with ancient roots. Recent archaeological discoveries have unearthed ruins that date back to the 8th century BCE. The rich and diverse findings of this archaeological site create a compelling window into the past. Research at this location helps us understand ancient cultural practices in the Cyclades. In turn, we also gain insight into the power and the wealth of the ambitious inhabitants of Paros.
I don't think they ever wanted to become a great power. They just wanted to have the position they deserved and to guarantee prosperity for their people, which they did.
Paros had the ability to construct such a sanctuary because of the wealth they attained through their vast resource of highly prized marble. Parian marble was sought after throughout the ancient world for statuary purposes.
The marble played a very important part in the economy of Paros. So it is sure that having the best marble gave a special position to Paros within the Cyclades, and the privilege and of course a lot of prosperity.
So everybody knew Parian marble, and if they wanted something very expensive and very beautiful, they were ordering the unique Parian marble. This gave to Paros extreme wealth.
Parian marble was the standard to which all other marble was compared. Only the greatest artists could afford to use Parian marble.
Parian marble, because of its quality, became so famous. We know that Solomon, for his temple in Jerusalem, ordered Parian marble.
You have the Venus of Milo in the Louvre and the Nike of Samothrace in the Louvre. We have a beautiful Hermes of Praxiteles in the Olympian Museum and many, many other works of art.
Having grown quite wealthy, Paros increased its influence further by building a sanctuary to Apollo on Despotiko. Yanos Kouraios is the head archaeologist of the 21st Ephorate of Prehistoric and Classical Antiquities on the islands of Paros, Antiparos and Despotiko. Since discovering the temple to Apollo at Despotiko in 1996, he has led the effort to excavate and interpret this important archaeological site.
There I discovered in 1996 a huge sanctuary of Apollo with a lot of buildings. Until now we have 12 buildings, and the temple and the estiatorium. And the main excavated area is the temenos, how we call it in Greek. It's the main perivolos, the enclosure, where the building, the cult building of Apollo.
Ancient Greeks incorporated religion into every aspect of their lives and adopted patron gods. Athens honoured Athena, Corinth honoured Poseidon, and those in the Cyclades honoured Apollo and his twin sister Artemis, who, according to Greek mythology, were born on the island of Delos.
And Apollo was really venerated here in the Cyclades because we are the light, the music, we are really open people, people of the sea.
Especially in the Cyclades, he is the god of light, and if there is a place where we should worship the god of light, that's exactly the Aegean and the center of it, the Cyclades and Paros.
They built this huge sanctuary in this position because it's a very well protected harbor. So all the sailors that go to Egypt, Syria, Palestine, Asia Minor, they had to stop there and take water, food, and pay the Parians.
Well, Despotiko was quite different from what it is today. It must have been attached to another small island that is between Despotiko and Antiparos. So this formed a very safe port.
So the reason of the creation of this huge sanctuary in this position is this very well protected harbor. You can see it here, it's really calm.
So the Parians, they want to have another really cult center, really bigger than Delos. So for this reason, they built this sanctuary in this uninhabited island.
It's sure that there was some kind of competition between the different sanctuaries, even between sanctuaries of the same cult, of the same god, like in this case. It is sure also that Delos had the, in a prominent position. The main was the dominant, let us say, sanctuary of Apollo in the Aegean Sea. Ships must have gone to Paros first for, their supplies, their exchanges, whatever, and on the way back to their homes, or to other ports, they would stop at Despotiko and worship Apollo, and the goddess Hestia, who was the patron goddess of sailors, who was also worshipped in the same site.
So here in front of the temple, stylobate, we have the Vothros of the altar, or we call it Vothros in Greek. We have the altar of the Hestia of the Isthmus.
So the sailor wants to return safe to his house. So for this reason, they had also Hestia there, together with Apollo.
So who was going to Despotiko? The sailors. They have a strong presence there. We believe that most of the votive offerings were offered by sailors who came not just from the Greek islands or the Greek city-states on the coast, but also from Egypt, from Asia Minor.
We have faience from Egypt. We have ivory from North Africa. Those ivory fibula. Then we have vases from Corinth and Rhodes.
It seems that Despotiko was known, all around the world, let us say, of the Eastern Mediterranean, but also Peruvians must have gone there to worship Apollo and bring not just offerings of statues or other votive offerings, but also sacrifices.
So they had to sacrifice the animals and they had to eat the animal. They had to pray, they had to give ex votum in offerings to the god, to have a good trip, to have a good life.
It's a unique case where we have in Despotiko where let us call it a refectory, we cannot call it a restaurant exactly, the place where they actually ate, the meat from these sacrifices they made, is next to the temple. It's like one complex. So I can imagine the Peruvians or the sailors arriving at the temple with maybe a calf or a small goat or a lamb on their shoulders, like the calf bearer we have in the Acropolis Museum, sacrificing this animal they have brought and then eating it along with their friends in the, let's say, call it restaurant or refectory next to the temple.
So for the Greeks, it was really important. This sacrifice the animal, and the blood that was coming out, and everything was really sacred for them.
There was a war between the Persians and the other cities, the Greek cities. So the only city that has been with the Persians was Paros. So for this, that was the reason. The real reason was the money of Paros. But the thing is, they want to punish the Paros because they have been with the Persians.
Persia was like the great power of those days. They wanted to get control of the Aegean Sea, and on their way to Marathon they stopped at Paros. And the Peruvians, who had good relations with the Persians, they had commercial exchanges with the Persians, were obliged to, let us say, participate in this war, and they had to send 3 ships. So they go there and in fact they get defeated. The next year the Athenians, who are now very, very, proud of themselves because they had brought this huge victory against the greatest power of those days, they decide they will punish the Peruvians. So they send Miltiades, the great general, the great winner of the Marathon battle, and they are sure they're going to win. But Miltiades stays here for several months and he's unable to conquer the island. He, the great winner of the Marathon battle, humiliated by just a small island, the island of Paros. And it seems that on the way to Athens, as soon as they leave Paros, they want to take revenge. They are so enraged with the Peruvians that they decide to stop at Despotiko and destroy the sanctuary of Despotiko, which was very, very important and very popular among the Peruvians. So they commit a crime, actually. They make a huge sacrilege by destroying statues and other votive offerings that were sacred and that had been offered to the god Apollo. Old ex votos that were either destroyed worn or too old and had to be replaced by new ones were often buried within the territory of the sanctuary. They didn't have the right to take them out, to sell them or destroy them.
They had to collect all those items and put them underneath the slabs to protect them and not throw them away.
Over 600 items were excavated from underneath these slabs of room A1. Among these items was a lioness figurine made of terracotta. In addition, there were several small ceramic vessels known as aribali, which were possibly used for perfume. There was a falcon-shaped amulet depicting the god Horus. 2 gold beads and a cylindrical-shaped pendant were among the gold jewelry artifacts found.
The most important thing was this, the Dalek figurine of 680-650 BC, that this is the first image of Apollo, and that was inside the first temple that was built. In the other building, the delta that we found, that it's next to the temple, we don't know exactly the purpose. Probably it was for another god.
In 2014, workers from the Acropolis began the restoration of this significant historic, religious and cultural attraction.
And this is really important for the locals, for the parents and the people from Antiparos, for touristic reasons, to have an archaeological site. Very well done, so people can visit and see how big was the sanctuary and the temple and the Stiatorion and the rest of the city of Paros and what the parents built.
Despotiko is another example of archaeology's quest to expose the secrets of antiquity. It provides the means to expand our understanding of human history without the benefit of written record. On this island, new discoveries continue to reveal the unknown treasures of mankind.
With archaeology, you never know what happened.